Also we made it run with parameterization. So now we can pass data through this object array, but it really doesn't help us much. We know we can run it runs the test twice because it has two sets of test data. Okay, but I want to send this test data from Excel sheet. So how do we do that? Before doing that, we'll see like how to access Excel files from our program. To access Excel files from our program, we need something called as POI API. Okay, so what is POI API? POI API is developed by Apache. These are like jar files. How you add your Selenium jar files, in the same way we need to add this POI API jar files to our library. So we also use a class called as XLS reader. We also use a class called as XLS reader. So what does this class contains? This class contains predefined methods to access data from an Excel sheet. How does an Excel sheet looks like? So we'll try to copy it from already existing Excel sheet. So this is our Excel sheet. We have different test sheets over here. The first sheet is called test cases. So to you all, I think you have knowledge of Excel. If not, take some basic tutorials in YouTube and learn Excel. Okay, right click, rename, then you can rename it whatever you want. Okay, this is our basic Excel sheet. In this Excel sheet, we have three columns. One is test case ID or test case name, whatever you want you call it. Second one is description. Third one is run mode. So why do we have this run mode? If I say yes, run mode, then the test should run. If I say no, the test should not run. Okay, so we will try to connect this Excel sheet to our test and write some code based on this. How to read or access this yes or no from this Excel sheet? That is what we are going to do now. For that, first we need a class called as xlsreader.java. That one you can get anywhere. Like if you Google, there is already xlsreader Java. See, you have already got existing files, so you can download from it, or you can just copy from mine. See, Apache, POI Apache. So from here you can find the XLS reader file, or you can just borrow from me. So because someone already wrote some code for us, we are not going to write that code. We are just going to use that XLS reader class and create our own objects. So if you go into that XLS reader file, you won't find much of new things. You will only find like how to get the cell data and all, but it's a very big file. So instead of writing all this code, we'll just use it. So what I'm doing is I am creating a new package. Right now we have only two packages called as three packages: config, tests, and utilities. Now my fourth package, I'm creating a new package called as data table. Data table. In this, I'll try and copy the XLS reader file. You should also do the same thing. Like you can get from anywhere and paste it. Okay. So we have data table. But when you open the data table, it is showing so many errors. Because why is it showing so many errors?
The jars.
Yeah, we need to attach the jar files. So I will right click my project, go to properties, then go to Java build path, then go to add external jar files, and you have POI API jar files. Attach those files, and that should do, I guess. Okay, now there are no errors at all, no red errors. Okay, so where do you get those POI API files from? I have included the link in this document, or you can just Google for them. Click on that link, you can download, put them in a location, and attach those files. For your convenience, keep all those files at a single place in a single folder, like folder called WebDriver or somewhere like that. Okay, now we have this XLS reader file ready. Any doubts with this? Any doubts? We did not do anything, we just copied this XLS reader.java file. We will use it in future, and we also need the Excel file, so we'll put that Excel file in this config. I'll just copy the same file. You can create your own Excel files. How to create an Excel file, I'll show you. So let us say we don't have any Excel file here. You can create it from here, or you can just create one Excel file here. Save it, file, save as, save it somewhere on your desktop or somewhere. I'm calling it book1 or something. I'll just delete it. I'm just showing it to how to create it. Okay, after you have saved it somewhere, see, where did I save it? So I have some Excel file called as practice questions. I am right clicking on it. I am copying it. I'm coming to my config folder. Right clicking and pasting it. So it will come over here. Create your Excel file, then copy and paste it here. Okay. Now when you copy and paste it, its location will change. Go to properties. Its location is different, not from the desktop one. So you can delete the desktop one. Otherwise you'll get confused between two things. Now anyway, this is not my file, so I'm just deleting it. I'm copying this from here and pasting it on the config folder. Okay, now I have my Gumtree suite.xls files also. If you ever wonder how all these files look like, right click on your project, go to properties, copy this path, paste it here, then you'll go to that folder. You'll have three folders: settings, bin and source. So settings and bin you don't need. Go to source. In source you have 4 packages, so you have 4 folders again. First folder is config. In that you have config.properties, OR.properties, and your Gumtree suite.xls file. If you open, normally it will open outside. Okay, you can just close it and go back to source. You have data table. In data table you have your XLS reader file. You go back to tests. You have all your tests. Go back to util. You'll have your test util. So that's the structure, and the path will be whatever path you pasted, the same thing. Okay, now we have the Gumtree.xls file as well. Okay, right. Now we'll create a test class and see whether we are able to access the Excel file or not. How to access the Excel file. Okay, right. In tests, I'll create a new class called as test.java test. Because it's a class name, I'll start with capital T, test. Okay, now we'll write the code to access the Excel sheet. So string test case. I'll take a variable called as test case. So what is a test case? If you open our Excel sheet as well, so this is a test case. Login test is a test case. Registration test is a test case, isn't it? We'll take registration test as one of the example. Okay, string test case is equal to registration test. Okay, now we'll try to access the Excel sheet. How to access? We have a class called as, what's that class? XLS reader. Okay, Now we'll create object of that class. How to create? XLS reader. I'll say D is equal to, or DR data table, or whatever you want, new XLS reader. So when I said XLS reader, automatically it imported data table.xls reader. What is data table? Data table is this package. .xls reader is this class. Okay, automatically it imported. So now new XLS reader, and I should give the path of the Excel file, path of this Gumtree.xl file. So what is the path of that? Right click, go to properties, copy entire thing. That's the path. Okay, so that's the path. But do you remember we did something?
Yeah, user. It says like different.
Yeah.
computer.
So until source, it's okay, isn't it? So this one, how will we generate? We'll do system
User.
dot get property. Then what is the property? User dot dir is the property. User dot dir is the property. So system dot get property user dot dir, plus in Java, whenever we give path, we should make sure that we have double slashes. That's it. And semicolon at the end. Okay, so now we have our Excel sheet connected to this object called as D. From that we can get anything we want. For example, I'll write system.out.println. I'll print how many rows are there. Okay, so how to do that? D dot, you'll get all the functions which you have in that class. In XLS reader we have many functions, isn't it? We have many functions here. So all these functions will be listed here. So one of those functions is D dot row count, get row count, D dot get row count. So we want to know how many row counts are there. So what is it asking? It is asking for the sheet name. What is sheet name? If you go to our Excel sheet, what is our sheet name? It is test cases. So copy that sheet name, come here and paste that sheet name over here. Okay, now we'll run this and see what's happening. So it gave 3. Go back to this one and see, we have 3 rows actually, but we'll be only using 2 of them. But this test case has 3 rows, isn't it? Row 1, row 2, row 3. One is header, of course. So next we have another sheet. In this sheet also we have 3 rows. Another sheet we have 4 rows here. We'll take this one and see as example. Control C, it should give 4 now. So I'm going into my program, and instead of test cases sheet, I'm giving login test sheet. So when I run this, when I run as Java application, it's giving me 4. That means now I know we are able to access the Excel sheet. So we'll keep it as test cases only. We'll try something else. We'll try to get the data of some cell. Okay, so how to get the data of some cell? For example, which one we'll try? We'll try to get the data of this one. We need this one, right? We need to access this one. If it is yes, we'll try to run the test. If it is no, we'll not run the test. So we need to display whether yes or not, yes or no. So system.out.println D dot get cell data. So it will get the cell data, but it is asking us 3 parameters. Okay, what are those 3 parameters? First parameter is sheet name. What is our sheet name? Test cases. Okay, what is the next one is column name or column number. What is the column name? Well, if we go inside our test, we gave column name as TCID. Okay, I'll copy this. So column name is TCID. Oops. And the row number is, which row is it? 1, 2 and 3, isn't it? Third row. So we want somebody got disconnected. Kondal Reddy. So if you want this one, it will print this one. If you want this one, it will print this one. If you make run mode instead of TCID, it will print yes or no. If you print TCID, it will print login test or registration test, whatever it is. We'll see both. So I'll say row number as 3. So when I run this program, what are you expecting now?
Registration.
Registration test. So it will print registration test. So it's printing registration print. If I make it row 2, it will print login test. So instead of TCID, if I make it as run mode, if I make it as run mode, it will print us yes or no. It will print us no because the test is no. So if you go to your sheet, here we can see no, so it's printing no. Any doubts until here?
No.
So we are accessing the Excel sheet now. Okay, now we'll write a for loop. Give me a second, 1 second, I'll just be back. Okay. Okay. So what are we aiming at? What do we want? What is our aim? If the run mode is yes, this particular test should run. If run mode is no, the test should not run. That is our aim, isn't it? So why do we need? Why are we having in this format now? Because in your company, all the QAs may not be technical. All the QAs may not be Selenium oriented. Kondal Reddy, can you hear and see?
Yeah.
Okay. So all the QAs may not be technical. So if they want to run the test, they don't need to do anything. They can open this Excel sheet and just say yes, so that it will run automatically, because you have a data driven framework in its place. Okay. If you say no, it will stop running. So anybody without any technical expertise, they can run the tests.
Okay.
Okay. That if they know Excel, that's enough. Open it, say yes or no for all the list of the tests. You may have some 100 tests. You want only to run some of them, so you'll just change yes or no to them. Easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very easy.
Program runs straight away.
Straight away they will go. They don't need to open any code or anything. They'll just open the Excel sheet and say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, whatever it is. That's all. Okay. So we'll write the logic for it. So first we'll write a for loop. How to write a for loop? For int row number is equal to 2. Why am I taking row number as 2? Because the first row is header. Okay, because the first row is TCID, description and run mode. That's why I'm starting from the second row. Row number 2. Row number less than what? Row number less than, we already got the row count here. How did we get? D dot get row count, isn't it? So the same thing. So it will get the total number of rows on the page on the sheet. Afterwards we'll say row number plus plus. That's fine. Fantastic. Row number plus plus is nothing but row number is equal to row number plus 1. Anything is same. I plus plus I is equal to I plus 1 is same. Okay. Now what we should do, we'll check whether if test case dot equals, what is this test case? Here we gave test case as registration test. So if registration test equals d dot get cell data so what does the get cell data accept? Run mode, and instead of 2 here we'll give row number. So now what happens, automatically it will scan through the whole document. First it will go and read this. Is it registration test? No. Then it will skip it. It will go here and read this. Is it registration test? Yes. So if it is registration test, then we'll check whether the run mode is yes or no. Okay. So we are checking for whether we have registration test or not, because here our test case is, we are only interested in registration test. Our test case is registration test. So I'm saying if test case dot equals d dot get cell data test cases run mode row number. That means we are scanning through the whole document, and if it finds registration test, then what to do? Okay, then we'll scan for, we'll check if the run mode is yes or no. How to do that? The same statement. If we can copy the same statement. Sorry, this is not run mode first. First one is TCID, isn't it? TCID. Because we are checking for registration test. Now it is run mode. 1, 2, 3. So I'll just change run mode over here. That's all. Run mode. At the end I'll say if test case dot equals run mode dot contains row number, sorry, dot contains, what is that character? Y. If it contains yes, you can even write like that, contains Y, then what to do?
Start the program.
Contains Y. Are these 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 4, isn't it? Somewhere I got an extra if. Sorry, not test case dot equals. If d dot cell data get cell data dot test cases dot run mode dot row number contains Y, then I'll say system dot out dot println. I'll say run mode is yes, the program runs or something, just to, we are not running anything but just to display program runs. Okay, else what happens? System dot out dot run mode is no, skipping test. Okay, Right, we'll run this now. Run as Java application. What happened? Nothing is printed, neither yes nor no. Okay, then we need to slowly figure out what's the issue. If integer row number is equal to 2 and row number less than or equal to get row count, run as Java application. Yeah, it says run mode is yes and the program runs. So we will go to the registration test run mode is yes. So it gave run mode is yes. Now I'll make it no. Okay, I'll save it, I'll close it and again open it and verify whether it's saved or not. So it did not save. It did not save. That's why. So if you want to do any changes, right click, go to properties, copy the path, open it outside the Eclipse window as a normal Excel sheet. Now save it. Now it will save. So make it n, save it, run the program again. Right click, run as Java application. Now it says run mode is no, skipping the test. So if I make it yes, if I make it yes and right click, run as Java application, it says run mode is yes, program runs. Now instead of registration test, if I make it as login test over here, I'll right click, run as Java application and see run mode is no, test is skipping. If you see for login test, run mode is no. Any doubts here? This might be a bit confusing, but if you go through, you'll understand. Or if you don't understand, now you tell me, I'll explain it. Any doubts here?
No. Okay.
Sandeep, anywhere confusing? Kondal Reddy? No?
No.
Fantastic. Now what we'll do is, we'll create function in test-util, eskip function in test-util, and apply the same logic over there so that it will read, before running any test, it will read that function and it will decide whether to skip it or not. Okay, and we'll induce this logic in all of the tests. Okay, to do that, first we need to open our test base class and do some initializations. Okay, this test class, whatever we made, is just our rough work. We are just seeing whether we are able to access the Gumtree Suite XLS file or not. We don't actually need it, but we just made it to do our rough work. Okay, now I'll open my test base class, and before initializing, I will initialize the data table. Okay, so how to initialize data table? Public static XLS reader data table. This data table is nothing but we made something called as D, isn't it? I'm calling that as data table now. Data table is equal to null. Okay, and we'll initialize the sheet as well. We'll assign the sheet. How to do that? Data table is equal to new. We already wrote it here, right? New XLS reader. The path. So we need only one new. Okay, that's it. Here it shows error, I don't know why, so let us see. I think it didn't import. It did import. Public static XLS reader. It's not showing what the error is as well. Data table. Oh, okay. I understood. We have a package with name data table. So that's the problem. So I'll change its name to dtable. Is it the case? No. So let us open the test base class from the other.
Here, assigning also we need to change, I think.
Where did we assign? Oh yeah, but
We assign
no, that one later it will show. That's not a problem because in the other one as well, package names does not interfere because it's importing directly. Okay, we'll data table. I'll write in the beginning of it. Strange, see? But it's showing for here. So something wrong with this one actually. I think we did not end it properly, or we'll take it and put it under it. Initializing the sheet. Data table is equal to new XLS reader, get property, user dot directory source config company suit dot xlsx. Dat, it's not taking at this variable, so we'll delete this and write dat. Okay, it's still taking as a package, that's the issue. Okay, we'll change the name, dtable and dtable. Does it help? No.
No.
So are we dealing with the right class? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Why are we assigning this outside of any function? You can't assign things in the class, isn't it? So class 11 you can only initialize. So where do you assign the things? You need to go into some function, some main function or any other function, and you need to do it. Yeah. So we'll do it here. After or.properties, we'll do it. Okay, now it's showing some error. So we'll make it data table. should be all right now. Okay, right, we did the initializations. So the next step is go to test util file and create eskip function. So what I'll do is, instead of writing that, I'll copy paste it and explain you. It will save some time. Step by step I'll explain it. So let us open test util from util of the other folder and see whether eskip is written. Yeah, we have eskip over here, over there. So this is the function. So we'll open our utility folder, test util file. So after logout function, we'll just paste this function. So what does this function do? This function is nothing but, we just wrote this one. We were just printing yes or no earlier in our just test class. We are printing this one, run mode is yes or run mode is no. Here we are not printing. Here what we'll do is, we'll just say true or false. This true or false will enable it to run the test or not to run the test. Okay, so what we did is, we created a function called as eskip, and we are sending test case as parameter. That means you'll either send login test or you'll either send registration test into it as parameter. Okay, afterwards row number 2, row less than data table dot get row count, row number plus plus. If test case equals to, if login test equals to, it will also return login test, or if registration test equals to registration test, then if the run mode is equal to yes, then return false. Why did we say return false? That means do not skip the test. Eskip will return true or false, because we are giving the return type as boolean, isn't it? Boolean is always true or false. So if it is true, it will skip the test. If it is false, it will run the test. That's why we are returning false. We want, if it is yes, we want to run the test. That's why we are returning false. So eskip false and the test will run, or else it will be true. If this did not run, then obviously we'll send false to it. Any doubts in this? How we'll apply to the test case, we'll see in a bit. But see this logic and ask me if you have any doubts. Okay, how to use this? How to use this? We have our tests, right? What are our tests? Login test. Okay, in login test we have before class, before annotation. In that, before initializing anything, you just go and give, or after initializing, sorry, because it should initialize data table and all, right? After initializing, go and say if test util dot, what is the function? Eskip and give the, what is this? Login test, isn't it? Login test. We are passing test case name as parameter. So if this is true, we should skip the test, isn't it? So how do you skip the test? In this we have something called as assume dot assume true as false. So this statement will skip all the tests running. Okay, in the same way, in registration test also we'll go and add this stuff, the exactly same stuff, but here we'll add registration test instead of test. Okay, save them. So in our website, it should skip the login test and run the registration test. in our Excel sheet. So now I'll say skip registration test and run login test, because login test is smaller. Okay, right. Now as usual I'll run my test suite, run JUnit test. So it's running login test. Fantastic. Successfully completed login test, but it's not running any registration test. That's all. It only was running login test. Okay, if you see here, it was only running login test, but registration test, no, it did not run. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll make both as yes. No, only registration test as yes and login test as no. Okay. Is the registration test spelling correct? Registration test. Yeah. So now the registration test should run and login test should not run. So I'm again running the test suite, run as JUnit test. So now login test did not run and the registration test is been run. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll run both the tests. I'll make both yes. We should see all the possibilities, isn't it? I'll make both tests run. So now I'll go and run the test suite again. We did test suite yesterday, right? The same thing I'm running. So now it should run login test first. Very good. Now it should again run registration test. Fantastic. I think registration test with 2 sets of data. Oh no, yeah, it should run registration test once again. Do we have 2 sets of data or 1 test? Only 1 set of data, I guess, because registration 1 is the class, right? The other class. We only have 1 set of data in this registration test. That's why it was running only once. If we include registration test 1 in our suite, so if I go to my suite class and say registration test 1, it will have parameterized test and it will run twice. But yeah, we'll see that one as well, but we don't need right now. So if I say no for both the tests, both should not run. No, no. Okay. Now I'll run the test suite, run as JUnit test. Nothing is running because the tests are skipped. Any doubt?